The new ML Lua event comes with a shop where you can get these hearts for spending energy, which can be used in the shop to buy out items. And one thing people have asked is, can you clear out the shop? Yes, you get 1400 hearts per rotation, and it rotates 7 times. That's more than enough hearts to clear out the shop. The thing is, this final reward here, the energy, looks like it's unlimited, which means that these items actually have an energy cost associated with them. So I'll be going over what is and what is not worth buying. First up, the Molagoras. 400 energy for a Molagora is very, very worth, because Molagoras are really, really time gated. 100 energy for 5 cup bookmarks is also good value. 50 energy for 2 leaves is literally free energy, since 2 leaves is 160 energy. And then lastly, I think this 4 to 5 star artifact ticket for 400 energy is pretty good value, because even if you don't get a 5-star artifact or a good 4-star artifact, you can still sell it for 8 powder, and powder is pretty valuable, so I would definitely buy this as well. And then there is the next tier, which is kind of just let's go gambling. The gold transmit stones can be used for boss imprints, like if you plan on getting Zeo from headhunting, but those cap out, so for the most part, gold transmit stones are just used for galaxy bookmarks. And here you can get 2 gold transmit stones for 100 each. So this is at a ratio of about 600 energy for 1 roll, or I guess 600 hearts, since you can only buy 2. So 600 hearts for 1 roll is the ratio, and this is 700 hearts for 1 roll. So this is a little bit more expensive, though it does give you a full roll. And these two depend on how much you want to do a galaxy summon for the... I forgot how low it was, but a low chance at an MO5. And then this one I don't like that much, because it's a 4 to 5 star hero for 400 energy. And I guess it depends how many heroes you own, because if you're super, super new and you missed the Epic Dash event, I guess, you could get a 5-star hero worth getting. But if you already have all the good 5-star heroes, you're just fishing for an imprint, and hitting a 4-star hero is pretty sad. It's a 15% chance to hit a 5-star. So 85% chance to get a 4-star is pretty sad, because selling it for silver transit stones and a greater bloom is pretty much 0 value. And then let's look at the stuff that might be worth getting. It kind of depends on you. So this Unequip buff, we have 2 Unequips coming up. One from November 13th through 17th, and one from November 27th to December 1st. So it'll depend on if you suddenly have a need to unequip a ton of gear, which would cost you a ton of gold, to make this 200 energy worth it. Because this 200 energy could be invested in Rift, Hunt, Unrecorded History, anything. This 200 energy, you have to keep in mind, would be able to generate you gold. So you'd have to be outspending the amount of gold and other resources earned for the scroll to be worth it. If you do plan on buying it, don't buy it until you actually need it. And then there are all of these charms here, and these charms really depend. So a greater charm is 3 times a lesser charm, and this is 2 times the price. So it's about 1.5x value for buying the greater. And then the artifacts, because these are pretty limited and there's not really any way to farm them, if you need these for whatever reason, then you should get these. The accessory charms, also if you need them, get them. For reference, the Yuffie Lab is about 10 greater charms per run, and it also costs you your time and mental sanity, but compasses are pretty gated, especially if you have to buy the charms for Nightmare Raid. So you could consider picking these up if you find yourself short on accessory EXP often. And then lastly, there's the greater charms, or the equipment charms rather. The lesser equipment charm is never worth it, because both Unrecorded History and Eulogy of a Saint both give more EXP, not even factoring in the Golden Stigma, so if you really need the equipment EXP, just go farm that. And then the greater charm, it depends. So if you are somebody who farms Eulogy of a Saint, that gives more EXP than this, so it's definitely not worth buying this if you plan on doing that. I don't do that, so I might buy this. Unrecorded History gives a bit less EXP. It's less than the amount given here for this energy, but you do also get Golden Stigma and the AP for Catalyst, so it's something to think about depending on how much you value the different resources. Also, you have to consider that you could buy these charms while doing Rift and never touch Unrecorded History or Eulogy of a Saint, which is what I might do. So it's kind of personal preference if you want the greater charm. I'd say the lesser one is pretty solidly not worth. And then there's the stuff that you definitely shouldn't buy. This gold is not worth it. 50 energy for 100k gold. You could get more gold just by doing Unrecorded History. And then there is these catalyst boxes and the bloom. The bloom is not worth it. 50 energy for one greater bloom. Even if you're just doing Unrecorded History, you would get enough stigma in Unrecorded History from doing it's 8 runs, or 8 energy per run, so it's 6 runs. 6 runs gives you like 1.5 greater blooms pretty much, so this is definitely not worth it. And blooms in general, you shouldn't be too short on, except for the super early game, because of how many you get for transmitting and imprinting now after you summon. And then there's the catalyst boxes. This rare catalyst, or this epic catalyst box is definitely not worth it, because 200 energy for an epic catalyst box, if you have a scroll and you pop it during a buff event, not even factoring in pet, 200 energy would give you an epic catalyst if you have scroll plus buff. And then you would also get all of the golden stigma, and even if you're not doing it during a buff, I think the minor amount of energy that you save on your charm isn't worth the energy that you lose from not getting the golden stigma from the runs, so I wouldn't buy the epic catalyst one. The rare catalyst one is a little bit closer, because this is 200, double this 400, which is the AP cost, which is exact. This is 50 to 100. I'd say it's still kind of not worth, because even if this is technically a little bit better value, you shouldn't be needing catalysts that badly, especially since we got so many from the Epic Dash. But maybe if you're super new and you have no catalyst and you missed the Epic Dash, then this could be worth. So this is kind of depends, but I would generally just skip this. So that's all for the shop. I hope this helped anybody who wasn't sure what to buy from here. You can clear out the shop. It's just, this energy is pretty good. Also, since you can hold these points, you might want to just hold them until a buff event comes around, so you can use your energy a bit more efficiently. It's not going to be a huge deal, but it is something